Hi guys, my name is Yasmin, and I'm the Director of Star Trek content on the Global Franchise Management team for ViacomCBS Consumer Products. When it comes to my career path, I grew up first generation Palestinian American, so being anything other than a doctor or a lawyer was not considered acceptable, but that just wasn't the career path for me. While at NYU, I was majoring in media, culture, and communications, and I took every opportunity, kind of like Pam, to network. I would go to any networking events that piqued my interest. I would stay connected with anyone that I would meet. I would follow up, thank them for their time, and just make sure that I kept that connection going. I interned for smaller nonprofits, major PR companies, and even some film festivals. Throughout my internships, it was important to me that I was not afraid to make mistakes. It was part of the learning process. You're not always going to do everything right. So to me, being able to take that humility openly and learn from it was definitely a key aspect. I landed my internship at CBS Consumer Products and was able to grow from there. I had no idea what consumer products was. I had no idea. At the time, I couldn't even tell you the difference really between Star Trek and Star Wars when I started, but now it's the complete opposite. I was able to grow at the consumer products team. I went from intern to coordinator to manager, and I built relationships beyond just my department, which was really important. Then I had an opportunity that was terrifying. I was an East Coast girl, born and raised, to move across the country to LA for a Star Trek content position, which would be leading the Star Trek team. I said yes, which took a lot out of me, but it's really important that you say yes to things that scare you and opportunities. And yes, it is a little odd. A lot of people on the call that you'll hear from were able to kind of jump from place to place, but I've been at CBS Consumer Products, now ViacomCBS Consumer Products, ever since I was in college. So what is the Global Star Trek franchise team? The Global Star Trek franchise team is a ViacomCBS cross group that develops global brand strategy to support content development and expands the Star Trek universe beyond linear broadcast and streaming through consumer-facing initiatives. Now, what does that actually mean? We focus on how we can build brand loyalty and connectivity with the audience through tangible products, experiences, and engagement. So my role in particular focuses on content as a global brand extension that champions the core values of Star Trek franchise, all while creating a cohesive brand experience. I work to bridge the gap between the legacy series, so a lot of the classic series that your parents may be familiar with, or even some of you, like the original series with Captain Kirk, Spock, Star Trek The Next Generation, Voyager, Deep Space Nine, Enterprise. And I connect it with the current series that we have, like Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Picard, Star Trek Lower Decks, and even a few other fun TV shows that are coming. I look at products, live events, and brand initiatives as a way to support and grow brand loyalty. And in turn, we want to empower audiences to grow our consumer products business through their purchases. So when I talk about the Star Trek brand, the most important aspect to convey is this idea of infinite diversity and infinite combinations. 2020 brought issues of diversity, representation, and inclusion to the forefront. But Star Trek always brought these issues to the forefront. Through its story arcs and representations, it's championed diversity and representation for 55 years and continues to do so in everything we're doing now. Everything I work on that touches Star Trek, I always ask myself a few questions. Does it share and represent Star Trek's core values? Does it extend brand affinity and continue to establish a positive dialogue with the audience and the community? And does it create a cohesive experience? So you'll see on the slide, one of the things that we focus on is representation. So we have a bunch of content on StarTrek.com, such as Watch Star Trek Shows Muslim Fans an Inclusive Future. One of the actors, Star Trek Discovery's Kenneth Mitchell, shares a special message with fans. He has ALS, and it was really important to us to showcase that Discovery, they created a role for him, especially in season 3, where his wheelchair could be part of the storyline. A prime example of how I work closely with the larger ViacomCBS organization for 360 experience is Star Trek Day. Star Trek Day celebrates the brand, and it's technically the anniversary of the original series. By working closely with Star Trek key stakeholders across the board, I connected the dots so we would share a cohesive global story that celebrates the brand through panels, first looks, Star Trek products, and more. It's important to note that the brand also has fun. Part of the perks of being part of the consumer products organization is the access to product. What we did with Ethan Peck, who you'll see on the bottom left, is he plays Spock in Star Trek Discovery in a new series called Strange New Worlds, but we had him read a Star Trek book, Star Trek Little Golden Book, to the fans, and we had that as a way to extend products into content. Another piece that we did is watch Engage Your Core with Star Trek Body by Starfleet. We had a really fun workout book coming out called Body by Starfleet, and we created this video that was retro inspired on a bunch of Star Trek sets that were at a convention as a way to help promote the book, but also to engage fans with some fun content. An initiative that I also lead, which is a little different from consumer products, is the Star Trek Command Training Program. It's an initiative that is established in partnership with the Television Academy that champions the core values of inclusion, access, and opportunity. It gives two candidates the ability to experience different parts of the production process, from joining in on writers' rooms, on-set access, storyboard discussions, product brainstorms, and more. It's all a way to make sure that we're giving, the future generation a 360 experience. Lastly is the Star Trek podcast, The Pod Directive. The official podcast takes a smart, witty, and thoughtful look at all things Trek and is hosted by Tawny Newsome, she's from Star Trek Lower Decks, and comedian Paul Tompkins. It acts as yet another opportunity to extend the conversation with not only fans, but our growing Star Trek audience. Content through product, digital engagement, and brand initiatives is a key component to our success as I work to extend our global reach for Star Trek beyond just your TV screens.
I was wondering if you could talk a bit more about the Star Trek Command Training Program and kind of what's required, but also the different experiences.
So we just launched our first internship this past summer, and because of COVID, it was remote, but there's an application process. We've already completed the application process for spring and summer, but come fall, there'll be another application round. So the application's on the Television Academy's website. And so everyone applies, and it's really meant for fans and people in the film industry that may not have access or that built-in network. So fans and people in the film industry will apply, and then we'll review the applications. This past summer, again, because it was remote, everything was virtual visits. So the candidates, it actually worked to their advantage because they had this one-on-one time with Alex Kurtzman, who's really at the helm of current Star Trek and head of Secret Hideout, as well as with directors. And they sat in on story rooms with the Lower Decks team, so Mike McMahon. And then at the end, they leave with this built-in network. And actually, we're pretty close to having our first alum get hired afterwards. So